Here are some ways right where you are, no matter who you are. Firstly, be mindful of your communication. Remember to listen more and talk carefully. If used inappropriately, our words can express wrong intentions or create misunderstandings. Don't dismiss or disrespect other people's contributions, regardless of whether or not you are in agreement. Instead, try using phrases such as, "I see your point," or "It's a new perspective to me," or "I understand what you mean, but," or "I never thought about it that way." Secondly, challenge stereotypes. Unconscious biases, prejudices, lack of information, influence of the media are just some of the factors that may impact the way we interact with others. A stereotype is a category or a group that we put people into. When we stereotype, we think of a group and we give everyone in that group certain characteristics. Many stereotypes are negative, such as assuming that people are lazy, criminal, or poor. Some are seemingly positive, such as assuming that people are athletic, religious, or musically inclined. Others are just neutral, such as assuming that people eat certain foods or share similar hobbies, but all of them can be harmful. When we stereotype, we don't take into account individual differences. You should take care to be aware of the stereotypes you harbor, question them, and try to redefine them if necessary. It's important to note that stereotypes are learned, but they can be unlearned. Thirdly, avoid assumptions. Assumptions are a difficult starting point because they take for granted that our audience shares the same requirements and experiences as we do. Still, it is important to recognize the moments when we apply them in our interactions with others. For example, it is important to avoid assumptions about the gender of the person or groups we are speaking with and always try to use gender-inclusive language. It is important to avoid assumptions about one's identity marks, sexual orientation, ethnic origin, religious affiliation, level of information, and education. Avoid making comments about someone's body or physical traits. Doing so may make people uncomfortable. Do not assume everyone is equally healthy as you are. Consider disability as invisible as well. If you meet a disabled person, do not assume whether they are able or not able to do something. Furthermore, it's a good practice to avoid expressions like, "as you all may know," or "as you all have experienced," or "as everyone knows" in similar phrases. For example, like giving a safety briefing and referencing a show that only a certain age group would understand. Well, your employees may have totally missed your safety point because you assumed they knew what it was. Lastly, be aware of your privileges. Talking about privileges can be difficult and often very uncomfortable. However, being aware of our own privilege is an important first step to adapting a more inclusive attitude. Privileges can be institutional, personal, societal, physical, political, etc., and operate through different levels, situations, and forms. Identity marks such as white, male, middle class, heterosexual, and Western are commonly understood as privileged conditions. Privileges generally are not created at a personal level. Rather, they are the products of the artificial divisions that are perpetuated by the structures, systems, and institutions that exist in our world. Nevertheless, it's important to acknowledge how the system of privileges works and also where we position ourselves within it. We also need to consider how this position may affect individuals situated in less privileged positions, according to the same system. You may not necessarily feel privileged, but consider the following. Have you ever felt unsafe walking around your neighborhood? Has anyone ever been surprised to find out that you are intelligent, hardworking, or honest? Or if people assumed based on the language you grew up speaking that you were unintelligent or lazy? The bottom line, most of us are privileged in at least one way. That doesn't mean we didn't work hard or that we didn't experience any other hardships in life. Privilege can be hard to admit and even harder to talk about, but it is important to understand one's own privilege so we can give a voice to those less privileged. For more information about privilege, stereotypes, and assumptions, check out the resources we have provided for you.